Hello, friends. My name is Jared, and I am the COVID Relief and Recovery Advisor for the West Central Indiana Small Business Development Center. And today, I'm really excited to talk to you all about organizing your digital footprint for your business. As a COVID Relief and Recovery Advisor over the last couple years, I have worked with so many businesses on pivoting and helping their business switch to digital operations, move to digital operations, create digital operations for their businesses. And we were, for the last few years, in survival mode a lot of times with these businesses. And so it wasn't something that we could sit down and plan out and figure out and execute in a really strong way. We were just trying to do what we could to stay afloat, right? And so now that we're kind of in the recovery session of COVID-19, now I think is a really good time to work with small businesses and kind of help organize and solidify some of those digital footprints that we've created through the pandemic. This workshop is for any small business that has any amount of digital footprint. So that could be a bank account, a social media page, a storefront. If you do business online at all, then you definitely want to be a part of this workshop. Now, here's the cool thing. You don't need to be a computer whiz to set this up. You don't have to have a degree in programming in order to make this happen. This is actually really easy, and we'll go through 3 different options that you have, and I'll walk you through setting each option up step by step. So in this workshop, we're going to talk about what are digital assets. What are the things that we're going to be organizing? Who should be worried about digital protection? Newsflash, that's you. Why it's important and how to organize your digital life, and then 3 degrees of separation. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So starting off, let's talk about what are digital assets. Digital assets are things like usernames, accounts, applications, programs, anything that you utilize to access your digital business, your digital life for your business. That's what a digital asset is. Who should be worried about digital protection? You. Any business owner, any entrepreneur who has a presence online should definitely worry about their digital protection, making sure they aren't getting hacked, making sure their digital assets are secure, and honestly, simply organizing it so that you're not logging into your personal Facebook page and your personal Gmail account right next to your professional accounts and your professional profiles. You know, think about all the times that business owners and professionals have posted something on their professional page that they should have posted on their personal page, right? So organizing that brand and organizing those operations is really, really important. So let's talk a little bit about how to organize your digital life. So in this workshop, we're going to organize our assets in kind of 3 stages. We're going to brain dump, we're going to declutter, and then we're going to organize. And so before you can start separating and everything else, you have to know what you actually have, right? And so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to brain dump, and let me show you how to do that. Alrighty, friends, hello. So the first thing that we want to do is brain dump into some form of application, and whether it's OneNote or Evernote or any form of digital note-taking app, whatever you prefer. It doesn't even have to be digital. You could write all this down on a notepad if you prefer. Basically, we just need to get down all of the accounts that we utilize in our day-to-day for our business, right? And so I just created a real quick table here. And so all you have to do that is go to Insert, Table, and just do something like that. And then you can name it however you like. I used account, username, and password for mine. You can kind of do whatever you want here, but you want to make sure that you include what app it is, the username for that, and the password. Now, don't worry, we will get rid of this later on in the workshop. And if you're writing this down as a physical piece of paper, make sure you shred this once we're done. You may have to take a little bit of time to do this. You may have to take a week or so to really understand all the applications that you use. But to speed that up, here's a couple tricks for you. The first thing that you can do is on a Windows computer, if you hit the Windows key, you can type in most used, and I just type in most and it'll show me here, show most used apps in Start. So if I click that, there is an option here that's called show most used apps. It's right here. And if you have that turned on, and we exit out of that and we hit Windows again, our most used apps are right here on the left hand side. Now this is a new account for demo purposes, so it doesn't have my actual most used apps here. However, you can see in your actual Windows computer, it'll have the most used applications that you use on your computer right here. The other option that you can do is you can go to your computer, your browser, so Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer, whatever you happen to use, and I'll bring it up here, and you can look at your history. So if you go to your history and you click that, or use Control H, whatever you want to do, you can see the history for this account. Now, obviously this is a new account here, and so there's just kind of some random stuff in here, but you'll be able to see your own history for your applications. It's a really good way to figure out what you're using in your business, right? So now we get all of that listed out, and what I'm noticing here, and you just want to kind of take a look at the accounts that you have. And so for this instance, I'm noticing that I've got this really old email account here, supercoolbusinessman@yahoo.com, really old password. And that's just my Yahoo account, but if I'm using that for anything professional, any professional purposes, I may want to change that, right? Because one, it's a really old password and it probably has been compromised at some point. And two, supercoolbusinessman@yahoo.com isn't necessarily the most professional email account that we could have, right? So if your website hosting service has email hosting, you could also create your own, right? And so we could say our website login or our email hosting, so we'll just call this email hosting. And that could be something like info@jaredl.com. And just call that a super secure password, right? And so this info@jaredl.com account can be set up as like a primary email account for all of your business purposes. If you have the ability to have an @yourwebsite.com email account, using info or your first name or something like that is a great way to start out creating a primary account. The other thing that you might see is you may see something like you've got a Twitter account, for instance, and you're still using that old email account in there, and you're still using a really old password, and you haven't logged into Twitter in like 3 months, and you have 3 followers, and you're just not really utilizing it a whole lot. This is a great opportunity to declutter. Right here in your brain dump, this is a great spot to just go ahead and get rid of those accounts that you need to get rid of. So, for instance, with our Twitter, we may just say, you know what, let's just highlight this in red and make sure that we remember to delete that at a later date, right? So you can go through your old applications and find things that you aren't using and just get rid of them, because unused applications are a really easy way for hackers to gain access to your information. And so you definitely don't want that. If you have applications that you're not using out there, close them, delete the accounts, and get them out of there. And it makes it a lot easier to organize later on, right? So now that we have this, I'm in OneNote right now, and so I'm gonna show you how to do this in OneNote, but you can do this in any other application that you like, or on a piece of paper, however you want to do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy these and put these out as separate entities in my OneNote page. And I'll show you why here in a second. So copy these. And I'm just using Control C and Control V here. Now, I've got all these. Now, what you want to do here is you take all these and you want to copy these to a different page because we're going to start organizing now. And so I'm just going to Control X there, add a page, and I'm going to call this organizing. All right. And then we're just going to paste all those in there. Now, they're all over the place right now, and that is totally fine. Not a big deal. We'll organize these in this session. So what you want to do first is we're going to go ahead and go to Draw, and we're going to insert a shape. And we're just going to put a big old circle right there. We're going to copy and paste that circle. Put it in here next to the other one. If I can control my mouse correctly, there we go. And now we have a really nice Venn diagram for us here. And you can write this in if you want. I'm not going to because I can remember, but we're going to say that this left circle here is our business applications and accounts. This right-hand circle here is our personal applications and accounts. And this middle area is where we have things that we use both. Right, so for instance here, we use Facebook and our Facebook account for personal use, but we also have that tied to our business page, right? And so that's a good example of something that might be used for personal and also business. We also, for this one, let's say we use a Canva account for business and personal. And so we use that to create sales presentations, but we also use that to create birthday party invitations for our kids, right? But our email hosting, that is going in our business side. Our Outlook, that's actually a personal account. Our Gmail, our Gel at Gmail, that's actually used in both. Our QuickBooks account is a professional account. Our Yahoo, it was a business account, but we actually went ahead and because we had email hosting, we switched over some of our Yahoo accounts. So now this is just kind of an old account that's personal, and we aren't using that for anything. So we're going to leave it over here on this side. Then we've got this ISBDC email. This is actually used for work, and so I definitely don't want to have that as my business email. So we're going to move that over into personal. You could also call this, for instance, business and not business, if you will, right? And then our website login here. And so right now our website login is this Yahoo account. And because we organized it earlier and we've got this in business, we should probably have this set to info@Jared. So we're going to set that here, but you'll also need to change that information in your actual account. So if you have something where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm using a super old email address and I'm organizing now and I'm switching to this very professional email address, you're going to want to change those email addresses for your accounts. And most of the time you can do that. Sometimes you can't, and that's okay if you can't, but most of the time you're going to be able to change those access emails in your settings and preferences. So I'm just going to recenter all of this here so that we can kind of see it all organized in one spot. All right, so now we have all of these things kind of organized out. And we kind of want to, if there's anything that we can move from the middle to one or the other sides, right? And so for instance, this Canva thing, maybe there's something that we can do here. Maybe we want to create a free Canva account for all of our personal stuff, but then also have a Canva account for all of our business stuff. And the reason that you want to do that is just so that you're not mixing those up, right? So let's say we're going to actually create a new Canva account here. Whoop. We're going to create a new one here, and this will be Canva, but this one will be tied to info@jaredl.com. We're going to use a super secure password for that too. And then that one is actually going to go over here. And then our personal Canva will actually go over here, right? And so now we've moved that. Now we may have some where we just can't. We've got stuff tied to an email that we just can't move over, and we just have to use that for both. You know what? That's okay. But the more you can separate out, the easier this is going to become, because you're going to be able to have one degree of separation for your business and one for personal. It's going to be a lot easier for you to stay organized and stay on task. So now that we've got all these organized, let's go ahead and flip back over to our PowerPoint presentation, and I'll kind of give you an idea of how you can separate out these applications and these accounts. Alrighty, so for this purpose, we're going to be looking at three separate types of separation, if you will. So we're going to look at physical separation, account separation, and app level separation. So in physical separation, you have specific hardware for business versus professional work. So you have a business laptop and a personal laptop, for instance. This is great for accounting purposes, right? If you have your business laptop, all your accounts and all of your software and assets are on that business laptop. It's the most secure version of what we're talking about here, because if your personal information gets hacked on your personal laptop, it's bad, but it's not as bad as if your business information gets hacked. That's why when you have a 9-to-5 job type thing, most of the time they will provide you with their own technology, so that you don't have to mesh those up, right? And so put those together can be a problem. It's also a really easy way to focus, because if you've got your business laptop out, you don't have any of the fun things, right? You don't have any of the games that you typically play on your personal account. You don't have all of those distractions and apps and things that you only really use for personal fun type things, right? This is the most expensive option, obviously, because you're basically duplicating all of your hardware, so that's going to take a toll on the pocketbook, and it can be less portable. If you're going somewhere and you need to take all your technology with you, it's a little bit harder to take 2 laptops, 2 cell phones, 2 what have yous, and so it is a little bit less portable in that regard. The other option to do is to have account level separation. So this is separate accounts on the same machine for work and play. So you have the same workstation, so a laptop or desktop computer, but you've got 2 separate login accounts for that. So in a Windows machine, you've got 2 separate Microsoft accounts, one for work and one for play. This is obviously less expensive because you only have one piece of hardware to worry about. You get to control what apps get installed on each account. So just because you install a game, for instance, on your personal account, that doesn't mean that you have access to that on your work account. If you're one of those that likes to use the Pomodoro technique and you put a Pomodoro timer on your browser to stop you from going anywhere else and just write or create or do whatever it is that you do professionally, then you don't have to have that on your personal account. This also helps you designate work versus playtime on the PC, right? Which account you log into is what type of activity you're going to be doing on the computer. Obviously, this is not as secure as physical separation, but it's still pretty secure. The last one we'll talk about is app separation, and that's separate profiles that are specific to each app. If you are working solely in the cloud, you don't have any on-premise applications, you don't have to really download much of anything. Everything that you do is tied to the cloud and logging in through a browser. This is a great way to work. It's potentially the least involved option, because you don't necessarily have to create a whole separate app and a whole separate account and things like that. But it can be harder to separate work and play, right? Because if your Facebook is only a click away, or that game is only a click away, it can be a little harder to separate that and can become a little bit less productive. But we'll show you how to do each of these here in a second. Alrighty, so I won't spend a lot of time on the physical separation because that's very self-explanatory. You got two pieces of hardware, a laptop and a desktop, or two laptops, whatever you want, and you use a business account on one and a personal account on the other, and you're done. It's pretty self-explanatory. You tie everything to that business account that's business related. You tie everything to the personal account that's personal related. Is pretty easy. Now, if you want to separate accounts on the same machine, right? All that is, at the Windows level at least, is just adding in your business accounts on your actual computer, right? And so if we want to do that, the easiest way is just to hit our Windows key and say account. And then we will want to look for email and accounts right here. And this has your accounts. Right now, I just have this demo, mrjaredl@gmail.com account added. We can add a business account by hitting add account. And then this could be a Gmail account. It could be an Outlook. You could get a free account by signing up. Or if you already have Office 365 for your business, you would utilize that. Whichever email application you're using, that's what you want to use to sign in, because you'll actually sign in to your email account as your Windows account, if that makes sense. So that's how you would add that account. Once you do that, you can actually set up different applications and different settings for each one. Okay, now I can't do that on here because I'm screen recording, but the idea would be is that, let's say this was our actual business account. We could set up our own applications. We could go into Microsoft Edge or whatever app that we wanted. We could download those apps, and that would be specific to this particular account. We could even change our personalization settings. So we go into personalization and we could change to a different picture, for instance, that will remind us of exactly what it is we're doing on this PC, right? So let's say, you know what, my dream is to go running on a beach somewhere, and this is going to remind me that I need to stay on the grind for my business. You could also put your business logo in here, a picture of your front office, whatever you want. But it's a visual cue for you to understand that I'm on my business account right now. I need to be doing actual work, right? It can also be a great way to reorganize your desktop, because as you can see, I have a clean desktop right here. And so your personal desktop may be a little more cluttered than that, but you can keep your business desktop very, very clean and very, very organized. So it's just more of a visual cue for you. Now, the last one is app level, and I really only suggest this if you're spending all your time in the cloud. If all of your applications are in the cloud and you're just spending all your time in a web browser, this is a good way to separate out, but not the best. And so what you want to do if you want to separate out app level, if you will, is you will open up your favorite web browser. I'm going to use Google Chrome right now. And we go right up here to the top right hand corner where our account is, and we can go to add. And then this will set up a new Chrome profile, right? And so you can set up new Chrome profiles even if you use the Windows account level separation. You can still set up a separate Chrome profile. You just won't have them sitting right next to each other. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So if we have a Gmail account already set up in Chrome, then we can hit sign in. If not, then we can say continue without an account. We can customize it, and so we can add our business colors, and we could say this is Jared Work or Jared Business account. and then it'll create a desktop shortcut for us. If we hit done, here it is. And if we exit out of this, you'll see that I've got a desktop shortcut for Jared Business Account. Now, when I log in here, this will save all of my bookmarks. It'll save passwords if I ask it to. It'll save different web extensions that I can use, but it'll only save it for this Chrome profile. Now, this works the same way in Firefox and Edge. You just add a separate profile in each one of those and it'll do the exact same thing. But what that can do is it'll help you separate out your bookmarks. So you could say, I only have my business bookmarks here. You can save your passwords in Chrome. Chrome will ask you if you'd like to save. It's not the most secure. Security professional, internet security professional would tell you never to save your passwords and only keep them here. That is definitely the most secure. But I will say that Chrome and Firefox have gotten a lot better in terms of password security recently, so that's good. You could also use a web extension like LastPass or a password manager for you as well. That's another option. This can also save home pages, and so you could have this set to automatically log into your QuickBooks account if you want. And so to do that, all you'd have to do is go over here in the top right where the three dots are and hit Settings. And then you can change what happens on startup. So you can either open the new tab page, continue where you left off, or open a specific page or set of pages. So if you find yourself always, when you're working on work, always logging into your Google Docs and your Canva account, you can just set it to every time it opens, just open up Google Docs and the Canva account, right? This also makes it really easy if you're logging in from a computer that's not yours. So let's say you're logging in to a friend's computer, you're traveling or something, it's a relative's computer and you need to get some work done and you don't have a physical computer with you to do that. If you go in here in the top right hand corner of their Chrome profile and just say add, you can add your Chrome profile to their Chrome and have all of your extensions, all of your bookmarks, everything synced up with you. Now I will say, that's only if you turn on sync. So if you turn on sync, then that will happen and it will store all of your preferences in the cloud. You will have to tie that to a particular Gmail account if you want to do that though. Pro tip, whenever you get done, go into the other profiles section and remove your profile. So just go in here and hit delete so that all of your saved information is not on your relatives or friend's computer. If you're using a public computer at like an internet cafe or something like that, don't do this. Don't do this at all. I don't suggest logging in like that. It's just not secure. I may be a little cautious, overly cautious there, but I just don't suggest that. Alrighty, friends. Well, I hope you enjoyed this workshop today where we talked about separating your professional digital accounts and your personal digital accounts, how to list those and figure out what your digital assets actually are, decluttering your digital assets, and then organizing those in a way that makes sense for you. The whole goal of this workshop was to help you secure your digital assets, be a little bit more productive and save time. I know how valuable time is for entrepreneurs, and so we're going to do a little bit of work through this workshop, and hopefully that saves you, that little bit of time spent right now saves you time in the future. I would love to hear how this worked out for you. If you tried all these tips that we had in this workshop, you can email me at gel, that's JELL, at isbdc.org. If you have questions about this workshop, future workshops, or just have a general problem that you need solved for your small business, we are the Small Business Problem Solvers. Give us a call at 812-237-7676 and set up an appointment with an advisor today. Thank you very much, friends, and have a wonderful day.